Hi everyone, welcome back to Cozy Coffee Chats. Today we're going to be talking about the election and strategies involved. I'm here with Julia.
Hi!
So we're young voters from Wisconsin and we currently live in Minneapolis for college right now. And today we're just going to be talking about kind of the importance of the election, regardless of how it ended and how we feel about the results. We think it's important to acknowledge the buildup and strategies used. So just moving into my first question, Julia, how do you, why is voting important to you?
Yeah, well, this is the first year I've been able to vote in the general election, and I was very excited going into it. I feel like it's such an important ability that we have as U.S. citizens. It, allows our voices to be heard, and especially as someone who has had a lot of opinions about politics in the past, but has been too young to actually be able to, voice them and vote and officially, have my opinions and my vote heard and recorded. I was very excited going into this election because I was finally able to do that. At the university, we're surrounded by a lot of people that are voting for the first time and are younger voters and share a lot of the same opinions as us. So I think it's really interesting to think about how we interact with our peers and how that impacts our voting turnout and our involvement in the election. So Ava, I'm curious about what your experience is interacting with peers and whether or not you've had experience encouraging people to vote.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. My boyfriend hasn't voted and he's been able to for 2 years now. And I actually had him voting the first time as well, just by telling him why it's important to me and why it's important to people around me. And, sometimes it's kind of, difficult to put in that work to understand why it's important, because it is such a, politically kind of jumble of things sometimes. And I was able to get him to vote. He encouraged his brother to vote. It was just kind of really powerful to kind of get somebody else to kind of go out and support me like that. And even people on campus, I've been able to have such good conversations with kids in my class over just everything about it. And even just me and Julia just talking outside of the podcast. We've just been able to talk about kind of what's happening now, what was happening before the election, why we thought it was important to get out and vote. And I think peer-to-peer engagement really does drive it home, because a lot of people can understand the perspective you're in. If you're talking about something that affects you, it most likely affects them as well. I mean,
just sort of raising awareness and talking to other people about it and making it more of a comfortable topic to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree. I think that really urges people and helps them see how important it really is.
Yeah, no, of course. And how do you feel like you've kind of engaged with peers, Julia?
I don't have any sort of instances of getting really getting people to vote when they weren't going to, but I think it's definitely something I've seen even think of my own opinions towards the election and voting.
Yeah.
Just talking to my peers and my friends, and talking to friends that maybe are more politically active than me. My best friend is poli-sci major. She's extremely interested in all things politics and was a very big very engaged in the election and everything to do with it. And talking to her about it was really getting me more involved and helping me understand the importance more and everything like that. And then I sort of see myself pass that on to other people and continuing those conversations I would have with her, with other people, even people like my grandma, who would have voted in the first place, but is now far more interested and far more involved and has maybe some stronger opinions than she would have in the first place because of these conversations we've had.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And even just here on campus, the student government and everything, Row the Vote, I don't know if you've heard of that.
I have. That reminds me of this girl that I have in one of my classes who I've gotten to know a little bit better since the semester started. She is very involved in student government and had a large role in sort of the voter turnout at the university and encouraging people to vote through the university and everything. And at the beginning of every class, she would give some announcements. The professor was very supportive of it, and she would just basically encourage people to go out and vote and really motivate them in the way that the Row the Vote campaign.
Yeah, the Row the Vote campaign, it was amazing. I thought it was really smart. I had a lot of actually different times that they visited my class to kind of say the same thing, but it kind of drove the point home a little bit that, you know, pledging to vote really gets people out there. And even the incentives that were kind of given about there being prizes and just the back of it for, you know, voters that want to register in Minneapolis, because, you know, a lot of freshmen, it is all of their first time voting as well, and it is really just kind of amazing.
I did hear something about the University of Minnesota being like one of the top universities, like the most voter turnout out of universities in the entire country. And I mean, I don't want to like, I don't know the exact numbers or anything, but that it's things like the Roll the Vote and even just the girl in my class, like it's things like that are really getting people out there and really encouraging them.
Yeah, and even just for us, like we both voted absentee in Wisconsin, and it even got me kind of, oh, where is my ballot, and when is that coming, and when is that, you know, gonna be here, and everything. And I think it was really good.
And we were sort of motivated to do that rather than vote in Minnesota, because Minnesota is a far more blue state in general. Wisconsin is like absolutely a swing state, as we learned in the election. It was a little bit of a roller coaster there, and although the results are maybe a little disappointing for us personally, just the fact that we had the opportunity to vote there.
And speaking of swing states too, just Kamala's whole campaign kind of revolving around getting younger voters out. Like, she was very, very kind of personable in that way to making connections with younger voters, and I think it really did help. A lot of people in colleges are really, you know, getting out to vote, and I think a lot of them are swinging more towards Kamala.
I feel like she did succeed in really connecting with her younger audience and knowing what would appeal to them and what would really motivate them to get out and vote. And it's interesting to think about if it were a different candidate, like, would I have been less excited to go and vote, or like would I have felt as motivated as I did because of the strategies that she used, that sort of thing. And I don't know, it's hard to say because I don't know any differently, because this is the first election that we've been able to vote in, but I do know that all of her strategies that she was using by appealing to the younger audience on social media and through her campaigns and through her rallies, it really did make a difference, and I feel like it did in the end make it more of a close race.
Yeah, so I think that's all we have. But thank you for tuning in. We'll have another episode next Tuesday.
Yes, don't forget to vote in the future.
Yes, please. Even smaller elections, they all matter. They're all worth it.
Your voice needs to be heard.
Yes, it does. But thank you so much, and we will catch you later.
Bye.
Bye.